Welcome to another episode of the Terry and Frank Show. I hope you're tuning back in because we're going over the human factors of leadership. We had a great episode last week, very, very interesting. We're featuring different recorded materials that I think add a lot of kind of really deep insight into what we're talking about. You're going to find it fascinating. So, Terry, why don't you introduce yourself for those who are not familiar with the Terry and Frank Show?
Hello, I'm Terry Mays, and I'm a certified culture engineer with the emphasis on helping companies bring out the best in their people.
Yeah, thank you, Tara. And I'm Frank Warner. I'm the founder of People Productive. We help people and the companies they work for thrive together with a real focus on culture and creating environments where people are both willing and able to give their best. So today we're going to dig into, caring and toxicity. We did do a series on people unproductive. That's pretty interesting. A lot of these wacky personalities you run into at work who are absolutely unproductive for everybody around them. So today we're going to talk about human factors of leadership. You should understand that there's this basic wiring in the workforce, and you should be very, very familiar with it because you have to actually use people as a tool. So we're going to examine a video, and then we'll talk about it, and we're going to stop it and let you think about it for a second while we chat, and then see if the conclusions you drew out of that are going to be the ones that match what we talk about. What do you think, Tara?
Sounds good.
We get right into it?
Let's get into it.
Okay, I'm going to do a share screen here. Uh, just start this right off. Now, as you can see, this is available on YouTube, by the way. This is public. This is a 60 Minutes show.
As Wynn and her team asked a question that 20 years ago might have gotten her laughed out of her field. Does Wesley here, at the ripe old age of 5 months, know the difference between right and wrong? Wesley watches as the puppet in the center struggles to open up a box with a toy inside. The puppy in the yellow shirt comes over and lends a hand. Then the scene repeats itself, but this time the puppy in the blue shirt comes and slams the box shut. Nice behavior? Mean behavior, at least to our eyes. But is that how a 5-month-old sees it? And does he have a preference?
Wesley, do you remember these guys from the show?
To find out, a researcher who doesn't know which puppet was nice and which was mean offers Wesley a choice.
Who do you like?
He can't answer, but he can reach.
That one.
Wesley chose the good guy, and he wasn't alone.
That one.
More than 3/4 of the babies tested reached for the nice puppet.
That one.
Wynn tried it out on even younger babies, 3-month-olds, who can't control their arms enough to reach. But they can vote with their eyes, since research has shown that even very young babies look longer at things they like.
Which one do you like?
Daisy here looked at the mean puppet for 5 seconds, then switched to the nice one for 33.
Babies, even at 3 months, looked towards the nice character and looked hardly at all, much shorter times towards the unhelpful character. So basically.
Oh, Tara.
Yes, very, very telling, huh?
Very telling. We should let the audience think about this for a second, but this is extremely telling. If you're a leader or a coworker, something very fundamental going on here, right?
Right. Something that happens every day in the workplace where we have opportunities to either be more helpful or smash the lid down on somebody.
Right. Helping behaviors, humans are social animals. These helping behaviors are just so fundamental to group success that we're wired for them. But, I see people unproductive. The interesting thing is that 1/4 of the kids like the bad puppet. Maybe they're the people unproductive later in life. Who knows?
Who knows? That's a good point.
Who
That's
knows?
a really good point.
Yeah, we all focus on, the puppet, that's nice that the kids all want. So what do you see in there in the bigger picture?
Yeah, so I think those helping behaviors that we've talked about before, those things matter. When you really are the type person that helps your coworker, people are drawn to that and they want to be around people that are helpful, that are kind. that
Mhm.
are considerate. So we're always running away from people that are the opposite of that. So people that are not very kind, they're not very friendly, they're doing everything they can to stab you in the back.
Oh yeah.
Those kinds of people don't really get very far. But when you find more caring people that are considerate, those people can really excel in an organization. And those are the kinds of people and the really the culture that you want to cultivate in your organization.
Yeah, and these traits are so fundamental to human success and humans thriving that these little babies are wired this way. I think that's incredibly fascinating and just so telling. And that's a toxic puppet basically, and people are repelled totally by the toxic person in the workplace. They don't want to hang with them. They don't want to work for them. That's for sure.
Right.
You bet on that, right?
Right. And those babies weren't taught that this is good and this is bad. That's just something that's innately in our human nature,
Yeah.
by design. We were created that way. So we instinctively know when something is good and something is bad. We instinctively know when people are there and they're helpful and when they're not very helpful.
Mhm.
All of that comes out whether we speak any words or not. So I think it's awesome that they use even smaller babies that can't speak, can't control their motor functions yet, but yet they can still say, I know what's right and I know what's wrong. I know what's good and I know what's bad, even with just eye movement. That is really fascinating.
That's amazing. Yeah, they just move their head and stare at the good puppet for over 30 seconds. The other one got 5 seconds. Like, I don't even want to look at this puppet.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see that all the time in the workplace. People are just mean spirited or just not very helpful. They're angry. Those people end up not having a whole lot of people around them. But we've all worked with that person that, nobody wants to talk to them, nobody wants to spend any time with them. So anytime you have to interact with them, you're just doing it as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah.
You
The
spend
worst
the
news
least
is,
amount of time possible with them.
yeah. Oh, the worst news is, hey, by the way, there's a, project starting up. You're going to be working with Bill. Like, you know.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
And you're dreading, you get back to that situation where you dread going to work, you dread having conversations with them. I've found in some of those cases that if you spend time just trying to get to know the person, then that helps some. I haven't always seen it turn around where the person now becomes a helpful, kind person, but I have at least been able to get some insight into why they're doing what they're doing or just see them in a softer side. So sometimes just getting to have those one-on-one conversations with people that you may not be that fond of or that may not be that helpful in the workplace, spending that one-on-one time with them kind of humanizes them more because you tend to vilify people that you feel like are not the nicest and kindest people. You vilify them and you
yeah.
really don't want to be around them. So, spending that time when you have to, just taking the time to get to know them and start to understand what makes them tick, really can improve that environment.
It can be huge. I mean, some people have a very crusty outer shell. If you can get through it, you'll find out
Yes.
that they're really very nice people and they're dealing with a lot of stuff. So they come off a little abrasive. They may have reasons they don't want to be too engaged with other people, but it's the empathy deficient ones that are always bad.
Right.
They just can't feel anybody else's pain. They have zero empathy. They use everybody around them to further their ends. And they're really the toxic ones.
Right.
There's people who are just not nice, but they have some empathy and capacity for teaming with people and helping them. They may just be a little crusty.
Yeah. We've all been around those people that are just
Yeah,
grouchy all the time, just mean, grouchy.
the grab.
Don't want to be around them.
Yeah, that's one of the people unproductive personalities, right? The grouch.
That's right.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, so this is so fundamental and so important that every leader needs to understand that any behaviors that come anywhere near shutting the box and not helping people in need is going to be noticed by everybody. And when you're a leader, it's not the one person you're doing it to, it's the all the other people watching. they're the ones who really end up being influenced by that behavior, right? So you're turning off one
Right.
person, sure, but everybody sees it. You're not fooling anybody.
Yeah, and it just creates a toxic environment that makes it difficult to get work done. So in the final analysis and the bottom line, people avoid people that are not very helpful.
Mhm.
And so as a result, they may take longer to engage that person. They may leave that person out of project meetings or out of conversations, out off of emails because they don't want the explosion that comes. And it takes things longer to get done because you're trying to go around this one person that's deemed as, the office bully or the person that explodes all the time, just has a bad attitude, they're grouchy. All of those type people you avoid like the plague. So you're going to do everything you can to not have to ask them a question. And in the cases where that person needs to be engaged, they need to be involved in the project, it can take things a little longer to get done because you're avoiding them so long.
Mhm. You are absolutely right. The big avoid button that they're wearing, and everybody knows it and sees it. They just don't know it's there.
Yeah.
Well, so next week we're going to be doing another human factors of leadership item. I think you should tune in. We can't tell you what it is because it could ruin,
Yes.
right? These are always a surprise, but I think tune in. You're going to love it. And don't forget to smack that bell. Subscribe.
Yes.
Interesting series. If you missed the Belonging for Everyone, that was a really fascinating series, I think, Tara. Very timely too, right? Because
Right.
everybody should belong. Everybody.
That's right.
Hired them, they should belong, they should feel the place is fair, they should feel invited, welcome, they should feel warmth in the place. And we did people unproductive. So this is our third series. Feel free to go back and check out the others. I think they were pretty well done.
Yes. And share it with your friends, coworkers, and like I've said before, people you like and people you don't like too. Send it to all of them. We really do want this to be something that helps people, that maybe is an easier way to have conversations that might be a little bit more difficult. So you can talk about these videos and talk about the personality types that we've discussed in the videos. And it might make it a little bit easier to discuss with your coworkers and friends.
Yeah, big time. And this is all the stuff you never learned in school that matters incredibly deeply in terms of your personal success in work and life. You should know
That's
that.
right.
So listen, thanks for joining us. Tune in next week for another surprise. I think it's going to be really interesting. Smack the bell, share, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you for coming.
Yes. Thanks for joining. Bye bye.
See ya.